Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this Netflix review. The fact that you're willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my reviews really does mean the world to me. If you guys are unaware, I review everything that gets released on Netflix. So if you're ever curious about whether something is good, bad, or completely mediocre, come to my channel and I'll let you know. So guys, do not be afraid to subscribe because I want to become your go-to Netflix guy. And today we're going to be talking about a new German Netflix film, The Strange House. The Strange House is actually an adaptation of a novel written and released in 2012. Guys, it was not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting this cliche, ooh, this is a haunted house. What are our protagonists going to do about this haunted house? And while that does have elements in it, that's not what this film is about at all. Ultimately, we have the cliche beginning of this movie, and that is that a family is moving from the city into a little village into the haunted house, or in this case, the strange house. And very quickly we realize that there are supernatural things happening, that there are paranormal things happening. And that's about all I'm going to say about this movie in regards to the story. Because while it does have a lot of cliche beats, when it goes off of the beaten trail, it's quite a surprise and it's really enjoyable. And I want you to experience that firsthand. So I mentioned that this movie was German. Guys, the location for this film, where this film takes place, is in the small village, but it's absolutely beautiful. I don't think I've ever watched a movie where I paused the movie. There's a scene where our main characters go to a lake. And I was just looking at this place and there was like this gathering happening, a picnic, and everyone was just hanging out, having fun. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there so bad. It was so beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a prettier location in a film before. And it blows my mind that there are just places like this that just exist. It was so beautiful. It really, really, really was. So that was definitely a major plus for the film. But what's crazy for me is how they were able to have this beautiful set, this beautiful location where the story takes place. And then the main house is a complete contrast to that. The moment you see this house, you're like, no, why are you moving in there? That's definitely a haunted house. This is by far the most haunted house out of all the haunted houses I've ever seen. But the set design in regards to building that house looked amazing. It was a actually spooky house. And what was great about it is that it was overgrown. You had these weeds growing over it. And it just didn't seem real. And that was what was so great about it. You felt like this entire structure was supernatural just from looking at it. Okay, but before I jump across from the fact that it's German and the locations were great, I'm going to say this. You can either watch it subbed or dubbed. I'm usually like, hey, watch both, because usually on Netflix, what's surprising is that the voice acting for the dubs have been great recently, but not for this movie. Guys, I'm sorry to say, I don't think I've ever watched a movie with such bad voice acting in it. There's an incredibly dramatic scene, a tense scene, and the voice actors are like, oh no, come here. And it's so unemotional. They're literally just reading the dialogue off of the page. And that was incredibly disappointing given how strong the story is. The performances as well, I believe, were quite good. The majority of the cast is actually children. The entire film is based around two brothers and their friends. The performances are quite good from these actors. The biggest issue comes to the depth of these characters. The actors really aren't given much to work with in regards to script, so I'm going to excuse that. But what I'm not really going to excuse that much is how two-dimensional these characters are. You've got your stereotypical bully character. He's there just to be an antagonist. That's his whole character. Then you've got this other character. He's the nerd. His entire character is that he's a nerd. And he's an exposition dumping machine. Whenever the main character needs something, you go up to the nerd and you go, hey nerd, what's happening? And the nerd's like, well, I'm the nerd character, so of course this is happening. And so, that's probably the part of this movie I didn't enjoy the most. The performances were great, but the characters were incredibly shallow, and that was disappointing. But from the negative of this movie, let's jump right back into a positive. The sound design. The sound design and the soundtracks in the original score, masterful. Even when something is supposed to be calm and collected, it feels uneasy. And that really got me engrossed. Every single scene I was watching, I was like, cool. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. And that's good. When you get an emotional response to the music of a film alone without the visuals, just the audio, no visuals, and you still feel that emotional connection, that's a good sign. Oh, and then something I really enjoyed, it's a small thing I really enjoyed, and this is only because I learned about it while I was still studying VFX and editing at university. We're entering a medium now in cinema where we as people, I mean, we don't go anywhere. I mean, like, look, this is a perfect example. I've got my phone right in my pockets. We don't go anywhere without our phones. And so phones are becoming a part of everyday life. And so different movies, different series have different ways of capturing what goes on someone's phone. And usually they just have like a little panel here that appears on the side of the screen. So when someone's typing, you see what's happening on screen. And that's pretty much what they did in this movie. But what was great is every time the character moved or did anything, it's going to sound so random, but it brought me so much joy. The actual screen that was present on the side, that rotated and moved as well. So the character's like, oh, I'm typing, and you can see the screen moving as a reflection of that. They didn't have to do that. The VFX artists and the editors didn't have to animate the screen in that way, but they did, and it made it feel so much more immersive. Sorry, most people won't care about that, but as someone that studied it, I really enjoy that element of it. But look, guys, this is probably in many ways the most cliche haunted house movie you'll ever see, but the new elements it brings in are worth investigating. So if you love horror films, then guys, I would seriously recommend you check out this film. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and I hope to see you again in another review.